नमस्कार। आप सभी लोग अपने अपने घरों पर सकुशल होंगे। इसी कामना के साथ हम बात करते हैं अपने टॉपिक की। एज इन आवर प्रीवियस lecture we have started about the lesson evolution, in which we are talking about the different theories of the evolutions, right? It may be special creations, it may be panspermia or the spontaneous generation, theory of the abiogenesis, autogenesis, or the chemical evolutions also, right? So these are different theories which can be just proved, but we have also explained or talk about the experimental evidences of chemical evolutions, and we know that how the origin of the first cells, first life on the surface of that, in which I have told you the first of all the atomic stages, the molecular stages, the early organic compounds, the simple organic compounds, the complex organic compounds, then proto cell will develop, then prokaryotic cell will develop, then eukaryotic cell will develop. So after that we have to know how we can say that such development will take place in our earth surfaces. Means what are the different evidences for that the life can be started here on the surface of earth by different ways. So today we have to talk about the evidences of the evolutions. Means what are different evidences of evolution through which we can capable to understand the how these evidences can suggest it that evolution will occur on the earth or in different forms. So first, for that we have to know about all the different kinds of evidences. It may be paleontology, right? It may be the comparative anatomy and the morphology, it may be the embryological, it may be the biochemical, physiological, and it may be biographical, right? That different means different evidences are found over there: paleontology, embryology, comparative anatomy and morphology, molecular homology, and the biography, right? On the basis of them we can capable to understand that how the life is started on the surface of earth. So let's start with the help of this paleontology. First of all, what is this paleontology? Means how we can say this paleontology is generally the study of the fossils, that is known as the paleontology, right? We can say in the paleontology we can always study about the fossils and which are found in the different rocks, right? We can say the study of the fossils. The fossils are remains. What are about the fossils? They are the remain of the past organism preserved sedimentary rocks. Means generally the fossils are those things, those substances which can be remains in the sedimentary rock forms, or we can say these can be always found. Rock forms can sediments, and the cross sections of earth crust indicates the arrangement of the sediments one over the other during the long history earth, right? Evenly we can say, yes, you can see in the diagram you will get the such prints over there. I mean these all are the different types of the footprints or prints through which we can capable to understand about the paleontology. We can say the different aged rocks sediments contain the fossils of the different life forms, right, who died during the formation of the particular sedimentation or sediment. Fossils which are present on the specific areas explain presence of the organism in that area only. Means we can say those fossils which are found in a specific areas, we can say those organisms are found only in that area. They are not spread in all throughout the world. Or we can say some organisms appear similar to modern organisms and they represented the extinct organism like the dinosaurs, right? Or we can say the study of fossils is and the different sedimentary layers indicates the geological period in which they extincted. Means generally they can be get in different layers. On the basis of that we can understand they are also belong to a different geological periods in which they are formed, or old rock are the simple type, while which were obtained from the new rock they are the complex type. Means in the previously those were found in the old rock they are the simple type of organisms, but which are found in the modern rock or the new rocks they can be known as the modern one, right? They are the complex type of the organisms. If we talk about the study of showed that the life forms varied over time and certain life forms are restricted to certain geological time scales. Hence, we can say the new forms of the life have evolved at a time of different times in the history of the life. Means the new evidences are found there on the different history of the times. Right. So after that we can understand especially about this embryological evidences. Means generally if we talk about embryological evidences, we can say that on the basis of the study of comparative, we can say embryology shows the common pattern of development of these all type of organisms. Means according to Von Weir, right? This the principle of embryology, embryonic development were given by Von Weir, and it can be especially studied by the Ernst Haeckel, right? The theory of the recapitulation or the biogenetic law. Generally, there is a law which can be proposed by the Ernst Haeckel, or we can say the theory of the recapitulations. Generally, which he states that the individual's organisms in its development ontogeny, right, tend to repeat the stages passed through by its ancestors' phylogeny. Right, ontogeny, recapitulate phylogeny. Generally, we can say the in common ways the history repeats. Right. In the same way, this biogenetic law can also states that an individual organisms in its development, right, tend to repeat stages passed through by its ancestors. Simply हम इसको कह सकते हैं कि जो organisms एम्ब्रायोलॉजिकल स्टेजेस पे हैं तो उसके अंदर जो डेवलपमेंट की स्टेजेस हैं वो कहीं ना कहीं उसके एंसेस्टर के द्वारा भी वो अपनाई गई है, इसलिए वो जो डेवलपमेंट स्टेज है दैट इज कॉल्ड ओंटोजेनी। जो स्टेजेस को डेवलप चेंज कर रही है वो जो एंसेस्टर्स है वो उसकी फाइलोजेनी है। राइट, तो इस तरीके से भी हम कह सकते हैं कि जनरली द हिस्ट्री रिपीट्स और वी कैन से द ओंटोजेनी रिकैपिटुलेट फाइलोजेनी। मीन्स कहीं ना कहीं जो हिस्टोलॉजिकल ऑर्गेनिजम्स थे, जो आपके एंसेस्टर्स थे, उनके अंदर जो डेवलपमेंट की प्रोसेस थी वही प्रोसेस अभी भी जो ऑफिसलिंग बन रहे हैं उनके अंदर होती है। एज वी कैन सी, राइट, जनरली known that the life history of animals reflect evolutionary history। मीन्स किसी भी इंडिविजुअल की जो लाइफ हिस्ट्री होती है वो इसकी इवोल्यूशनरी हिस्ट्री ऐसी ही रहती है। वी कैन से सपोज ड्यूरिंग द लाइफ हिस्ट्री ऑफ फ्रॉग्स tadpole larva resembles fishes and ancestors of an amphibia। Right, we can know that especially in the diagram you can see there are different embryo of different organisms are found over there। Evenly it is a fish one, right? You can understand fish, reptiles, birds and human beings। You can just see these gill slits are present in all over there during the stages of embryo, and the tail is also present in all these organisms। It means that during the development of these embryos, these stages in all our organisms can be found in now also। It can be found in fish also, reptiles also, birds also, human also। It means we can say that directly or indirectly there are some development, histological development can be found or some changes can be found over that। So with the help of this embryological stages we can understand about this। Evenly we can say the presence of gill clefts in vertebrates embryo including as I am showing in the diagrams, right, it can provide a strong evidence support to organic evolution। Means generally it can be helpful for us that we can say the development, the stages can be start from the such fishes to the human also now, right? So after that we have to talk about the comparative anatomy and morphology। It is very easy, we can say the studies highlights the similarities and difference among the organism of the today and those extinct in different year to year ago, right? These the evidences come from the comparative study and the external and internal structures also। So we can say generally if we talk about the homology, right, first of all this homology we can say in the organism the homology indicates the common ancestry. Means homology can always explain about the common ancestors of their offsprings, right, or their organisms. We can say generally I think everybody known about the homologous organs, right, in which you already learned the organs which are same structure, design and origin but different functions, they are known as homologous organs. You all have known about that. Means the basic structure, the origin, the design is same, but function is differ from each other, so they are all are known as homologous organ. As you can see the forelimbs of the some animals like whale, bat, cheetah, their anatomically structure are similar, right, such as we can say the humerus, radius, ulna, carpus, metacarpus and phalanges. Means if we can talk about their structures, right, their structures means generally these all parts can shows that they are a similar one, right, means their basic structure, their origin, the anatomical structure is common but the function is different, so that's why we can say that is known as homologous organs. Or we can say on the other examples we can say especially the homology are vertebrates, hearts and or brains. In plants also the thorns and tendrils of the bougainvillea and cucurbita represented the homology. Means both the bougainvillea tendrils and thorns can are the homologous organ, because generally you know that they are the such structures as you've seen in this diagram over there, right, means these thorns and this cucurbita tendrils, they can also play do the homologous structure, their basic structure, the origin of these tendrils, the basic structure is common but the function is differ from each other, so such is known as homology. Or we can say this homology is based on the divergent evolutions. Means that we can say the same structure development along the different directions due to adaptations, different needs, right, so this is known as divergent evolution. These are the conditions of the divergent evolutions. Means directly you can say homology or the homologous, they are always shows the divergent of the evolutions. Why it can be happen so? Because you can know that homology is generally based on the divergent evolution, that the same structure developed along the different directions. Means the structure is same but they can be just developed in different ways according to the needs, according to the adaptations, so this condition is known as divergent type of evolution later on, right, as you can see in this diagram. In the same way there is an analogy one, right, means we can say if we talk about the just opposite of this homology, means we can say it is just exactly opposite of this homology. Directly we can say the organs which are anatomically different but function is same, right, those all organs are known as the analogous organ. For example, you all have seen the different flying organisms in the air. You can see their wings of butterfly, birds, right, they all are performing the same function as a flying, but their original structure is different from each other. Means if you can talk about the wings of the insect, wings of the prey or some other birds, right, or bat, they are the performing the same function but still they have the analogous organs. If we talk about analogous organs, they can be results as the convergent evolutions, right, we can say in the convergent evolution it can be different structure evolve for the same functions, hence we can say the similarity, right, and it can be said that above organisms are the different structures but they can in the same environment and evolve to the perform the same functions. Means generally these organisms are in the, have the different structures, but while they came in the same places, due to that same places, that environment, they can just evolve into the performing the same functions. So we can say this analogy is also evidence of the evolutions. Or we can say the analogy like the eyes of octopus and mammals, right? You can just see in the diagrams the human eye and the octopus eye, right? And the flippers of penguins, they are not given over here, but you can just see, known the flipper of penguins and dolphins, they have the generally different structures, but they can use them for their swimming, right? And you can say, if we talk about in the plants, the sweet potato modified root and potato that is stem modified, means you can just think that both are edible, right? The function is same, means both can capable to store the food, but their structure is different, right? So you can know that they all are anatomically are different, but functionally they are the similar. So we can say such organs, they all are plays can the different roles in that particular condition, that these all are the analogous, or it is this type of evolution is known as convergent, and in case of the homology that is known as divergent type. Means divergent में क्या हुआ था, स्पेशली जब ऑर्गेनिजम्स ने किसी अलग एनवायरनमेंट की अडेप्टेशन की वजह से पूर्ण फंक्शन करना अलग करना शुरू कर दिया, बट एनाटॉमिकली सेम। पर इसमें केस क्या है कि जनरली व्हेनेवर दे कैन बी केम टू दैट पर्टिकुलर कंडीशंस, उनमें स्ट्रक्चर तो क्या था, डिफर था, लेकिन जब वो एक प्लेस पे आए, एक जगह पे रहने लग गए, तो उन्होंने एक ही जैसा फंक्शन करना शुरू कर दिया। जैसे अगर जनरल वे में कॉमन बात करते हैं, अगर आप में से कोई भी व्यक्ति अपने घर में आपका रूटीन अलग होगा बाय द वे, लेकिन अगर किसी आप मल्टीनेशनल कंपनी में चले जाएंगे तो क्या होगा, आपका रूटीन सबका एक जैसा हो जाएगा। मीन्स जो आपके अंदर वो पहले से पुरानी आदतें थी, लेकिन जब तक आप उस कंपनी में उस प्लेस पे रहेंगे तब तक आपको एक जैसे फंक्शन करने पड़ेंगे। तो इट इज जस्ट कॉमन थिंग्स। इवनली ऑन द अदर हैंड such conditions, there are another thing, that is the vestigial organs are also plays the such thing. We can say like the homologous organs, right? The vestigial organs can also provide the evidence for the organic evolutions. We can say first of all, these are the degenerated non-functioning rudimentary organs to be possessors, while the corresponding to fully development and functional organs retain the organism. Means generally we can say the organs which can be just in ancient time they are useful for the organisms, but now they are not useful for them. We can say generally there are about 90 vestigial organs in the human body, right? So as we talk about the tailbone, coccix, wisdom teeth, nictitating membrane, vermiform appendix, these are different vestigial organs which are not usable now, but still they are present in our body. It means that only in our ancient time they are useful in different ways, right? We can say, if we talk about some example in the animals, right, the hip girdles and the bones of hind limbs in some whales and certain snakes, wings of the flightless birds. Generally, if you know the flightless birds, penguin, kiwi, they are the flightless birds, but still they have the wings one. It means that these are the vestigial organs. So directly we can say that similarly in ancient time there may be such parts of their body which can be always helpful for them, that they can be capable to survive with this one, but they are not required nowadays. So we can say they become the vestigial organs. So students, tomorrow we will talk about next topic, that is the biochemical evidences, right? So you must prepare your notes. Thank you.